In our planet, there are corners of incomparable beauty, but there is a country that combines spectacular landscapes with unique traditions and events that seem to be taken out of a science fiction movie. A remote land where, a few years ago, they discovered a mass grave lost in the thick jungle, which has revived legends about cannibal tribes that some believe still hide in the shadows of this tropical paradise. A country as extraordinary as its customs, where some boys are raised as girls from a young age to the point of being recognized throughout their lives as a third gender, called vakasalewalewa. In this new video of Uncensored World, we will know in more detail Fiji, a magical and distant land where beauty, mystery, and the most unusual traditions coexist in perfect harmony. Fiji, a paradisiacal island nation with more than 300 islands halfway between Hawaii and New Zealand, with villages that prohibit the use of hats or sunglasses, as only the chiefs of these villages can use them. A region with a cannibal culture so latent that it contains museums with showcases displaying the shoes of an ancient missionary, the only remains of this mysterious practice, or legends of tribal chiefs who are estimated to have consumed more than 1,000 human beings. An ancestral reality that continues to whisper from deep in the jungle and makes some believe that, in the most inaccessible areas of Fiji, forgotten tribes still practice these ancient rituals, hidden from modern eyes and protected by the impenetrable thicket of paradise. An Eden of golden islands, secluded beaches and lush jungles that look like something out of a dream. Places and reasons that you will soon discover that make Fiji recognized as the coral capital of the world, with surprising prohibitions such as trying to court a woman of high status, persecuted even with death, and villages or tribes that even today contemplate that men can have several wives. Get ready to discover the hidden paradise of the Pacific. Pay attention and do not miss this video because we assure you that discovering Fiji with us will surprise you. Let's get started. Located in the heart of the Pacific Ocean, Fiji is an island nation made up of more than 300 islands, of which only a little more than 100 are inhabited. This archipelago, located between Hawaii and New Zealand, is a paradise of white sandy beaches, turquoise waters, and lush jungles. An Eden that also holds fascinating stories and controversial traditions that make it a destination full of mystery and surprises. Although it has hundreds of islands, most of the population resides on the two largest and most prosperous islands of the country, called Viti Levu and Vanua Levu. The island of Viti Levu is the heart of Fiji, both economically and politically, as it is home to the capital Suva and the country's most important tourist center, the city of Nadi. Nadi International Airport, the main arrival point for tourists from all over the world, is located here. Nadi also serves as a base for exploring the famous Mamanuca and Yasawa Islands, renowned for their paradisiacal beaches, crystal-clear waters and luxury resorts, and boasts the impressive Sri Siva Subramania Temple, the largest Hindu temple in the southern hemisphere, as well as vibrant markets and the warm hospitality of its beautiful people. Vanua Levu, although less developed, offers a tranquil pace of life and mountainous landscapes that seem to be straight out of a dream. A very surprising curiosity is that, in Fiji, despite the geographical dispersion of its islands, transportation is surprisingly efficient, and the main means of transportation is by air, mainly seaplanes and helicopters. As strange as it may seem to many, domestic flights operated by Fiji Airways connect the most important islands and allow access to more remote destinations, and are the only means of reaching isolated corners where time seems to have stood still. For tourists, seaplane or helicopter flights between Fiji's main islands offer unforgettable experiences, but are expensive. For example, a scenic flight of about 25 minutes costs about $300 per person, while excursions combined with sailing can cost up to $650. In contrast, boats and ferries are much more economical options, with weekly passes to tour the islands costing approximately $350. Be that as it may, it is best to make organized trips, since there are legends still alive in these islands, which speak of the possibility of the existence of fearsome tribes hidden in the jungles of some of its islands, a curiosity that you will soon discover in more detail. But before that, it is good to know that in Fiji, rugby is more than a sport, it is a national passion that unites the whole country. The national team, known as the Flying Fijians, has made significant achievements on the international stage, excelling especially in rugby sevens. The Fijians have won Olympic gold medals, cementing their reputation as one of the world powers in the sport. It is common to see children and young people playing rugby on beaches and makeshift fields, a reflection of how this activity is part of the national identity and pride. Fiji's cultural diversity is another of its great riches, especially because of the presence of the Indo-Fijians, descendants of Indian workers who were brought to the country during the British colonial era. This community has left a deep imprint on the country's religion, cuisine, and traditions. This is why Hinduism is one of the most widely practiced religions in Fiji, and this is evident in the impressive Hindu temples such as Sri Siva Subramania, which are found mainly in areas with the highest concentration of Indo-Fijian population. These temples are more than places of worship. They are spiritual and cultural centers where festivities such as Diwali, the Festival of Lights, and Holi, known for its explosions of color, are celebrated. The mix of ethnicities and cultures in Fiji creates a delicate but fascinating balance. The population is largely composed of the Itauke, who are the indigenous Fijians, and the Indo-Fijians, who bring a rich cultural heritage. Each group has been able to maintain its identity and traditions, creating a melting pot of customs, rituals, and festivals that coexist in harmony. But in Fiji, these are only two of the many ethnic groups that populate its islands, some with very controversial and extraordinary traditions and millenary realities. This has a lot to do with the fact that Fiji was not always a paradisiacal place as we know it today. For over 2,500 years, the islands were known as the Cannibal Islands due to the prevalence of cannibalism, a practice that was deeply rooted in the spiritual and social beliefs of the time. For the ancient Fijians, cannibalism had ritual significance and was a way of demonstrating power, taking revenge, and acquiring the strength or qualities of the defeated enemy. One of the best-known stories of this dark era is that of the missionary Thomas Baker. Although he was initially well received by the natives, his luck changed when he accidentally touched the head of the village chief, a gesture that was considered sacred and taboo. This mistake cost him his life, making him one of the victims of cannibalism. Today, one of Thomas Baker's shoes is exhibited in the Fiji Museum, as a silent testimony of those ancestral practices that still survive in the legends of the country. Although cannibalism was eradicated with the arrival of Christian missionaries in the 19th century, stories of tribes hidden deep in the jungles of Viti Levu persist. Some believe that in the most inaccessible areas of the island, far from the gaze of tourists and the modern world, there may be villages where these ancestral traditions are still kept secret. A surprising reality that is deeply linked to the mystery of Fiji is the terrifying discovery that took place in the year 2024, when archaeologists found a mass grave on the island of Viti Levu, the largest and most populated island of the country. This discovery has aroused both fascination and concern, as its origin is still shrouded in uncertainty and debate. Most intriguingly, the remains found in the pit appear to date from the late 19th or early 20th century, a period when, in theory, these ritual practices had already been eradicated with the arrival of European settlers. For centuries, tribal wars in Fiji were fought not only with weapons, but also with cannibalistic rituals that were an integral part of the spiritual and social life of the ancient Fijians. Devouring the flesh of a defeated enemy was not only an act of domination, but also a way of acquiring his strength, courage, and spirit, strengthening the warrior and his tribe. With the arrival of Christian missionaries in the mid-19th century, these practices were condemned and prohibited, and the influence of British colonization imposed new religious and social norms that completely transformed the cultural structure of the country. causing these realities to gradually disappear until they were considered extinct by the end of the 19th century. It is for this reason that the discovery of this grave in Viti Levu has reopened debates and generated disturbing questions. If cannibalistic practices had disappeared several centuries ago, how can one explain the existence of human remains in such a recent context? Some researchers suggest that it is an unknown tribal massacre or the result of a regional conflict that was forgotten. Others propose a less macabre but equally tragic hypothesis: the measles epidemic that struck Fiji in 1875, a disease introduced by European colonizers that wiped out almost a third of the population. At the time, communities lacked the resources and knowledge to contain the spread of disease, and the pits may have been a desperate response to the scale of the losses. However, among the local legends and stories passed down from generation to generation, there is a third theory that adds a halo of mystery to the find. In the most impenetrable jungles of Viti Levu, far from the reach of tourists and modern explorers, the inhabitants whisper stories about hidden tribes that would have taken refuge in the most inaccessible corners of the island. According to these stories, these communities would have kept alive their ancestral traditions, including these practices that the world believed eradicated centuries ago. Fiji's colonial past had a profound impact on the country's culture and traditions. In the late 19th century, the islands were annexed by the British Empire, bringing with it the introduction of Christianity and the end of many tribal customs. The missionaries condemned practices considered barbaric and worked hard to eradicate them, practices that until then had been part of religious ceremonies and war rituals. In addition to these shadows of its ancestral history, there is a unique atmosphere in Fiji, where the real and the legendary merge with paradise, leaving an indelible mark on those who dare to explore it. Fiji is, without a doubt, a place where nature dazzles in all its forms. Known as the coral capital of the world, its underwater reefs are considered some of the most beautiful and diverse on the planet, attracting divers and ocean lovers from all over the world. Places like the Great Astrolabe Reef, located near the island of Kadavu, offer an unparalleled diving experience, with crystal-clear waters teeming with live coral and amazing biodiversity. In these depths, you can observe species such as reef sharks, blue parrotfish, and giant manta rays that seem to glide gracefully among the reefs. The Yasawa Islands, with their turquoise waters and pristine beaches, are another must-see destination, where it is possible to swim alongside majestic sea turtles in a paradisiacal environment. In addition to these realities, divers and snorkelers in Fiji can discover the most wonderful underwater landscapes, such as coral gardens, underwater caves, and spectacular drop-offs, which offer endless opportunities for underwater exploration and photography. Fiji's natural surprises don't end at its idyllic beaches or vibrant seabed. On Bika Island, in addition to diving with sharks, visitors can witness an ancient cultural tradition, the ceremonies of walking on red-hot stones, a ritual that symbolizes faith, resilience, and spiritual connection with the island's ancestors. Other unique species also inhabit this archipelago, such as the Fijian crested iguana, a bright green reptile found nowhere else in the world, or the Tagimusia flower, a rare climbing plant that only grows in the forests of the island of Tavuni and is considered a natural jewel. With its golden beaches, lush jungles, and the underwater spectacle offered by its waters, Fiji presents itself as a unique destination in the world, ideal for those seeking to immerse themselves in the purest and wildest beauty of the Pacific. Thinking about Fiji's cultural legacy and unique traditions, one of the most curious and controversial realities has to do with the third gender known as vakasalewalewa. This cultural particularity, present in traditional Fijian villages, breaks the boundaries of binary gender roles and reflects the diversity and adaptability that characterize this South Pacific island nation. In the Fijian language, vakasalewalewa literally means "in the manner of a woman." This term designates people who were assigned male at birth, but who adopt female roles and expressions throughout their lives. From an early age, these children show inclinations towards tasks and behaviors traditionally associated with the female gender, such as taking care of the home, caring for the elderly, or organizing community celebrations. What is most striking is that this reality is not enforced. In Fiji, the decision to raise a child as a vakasalewalewa stems from respect for his or her identity and an understanding that each family member plays an essential role in the collective well-being. If a family has a shortage of daughters to perform specific tasks, a male child can assume that role, being recognized and respected for his contribution to the family balance. Traditional Fijian villages, such as Viti-Levu and Vanuatu-Levu, are environments where each individual is valued according to his or her abilities and contributions, not solely by his or her assigned gender at birth. Vakasalewalewa occupy a special place in these societies. They are cultural bridges, able to move between male and female roles, and play key artistic, educational, and ceremonial roles. In many cases, they become storytellers of legends, keepers of traditions, and respected figures in community celebrations, especially in the dances and rituals that characterize Fiji. Throughout history, this tradition has allowed the vakasalewalewa to be symbols of unity, inclusion, and mutual respect in a culture where family and community are central to life. What may seem surprising or even incomprehensible to the visitor is seen in Fiji as a natural expression of the country's gender diversity and cultural richness. Beyond the practical, however, the vakasalewalewa represent something more profound, a testament to the inclusive approach that characterizes the Fijian Islands. While in the modern world, identities are often categorized in a rigid, binary manner, Fiji offers a unique example of how cultures can embrace and respect the variety of human expressions in a harmonious and integrated way. At this point of the trip, we would like to know your opinion. What do you think about this tradition of the vakasalewalewa? Do you think that dangerous millenary tribes can still hide in its lush jungles? Were you surprised to discover such a particular aspect of Fijian culture? Pause the video and leave us your comment. It's the best way to help us continue exploring the world and bringing you every week its most unexpected wonders and secrets. Fiji is not only a paradise of idyllic beaches, coral reefs, and lush jungles, but also a land where ancient traditions coexist with modernity, offering visitors a unique and fascinating glimpse into the cultural diversity of the Pacific. In Fiji's rich and complex history, marital relationships and traditions also play a crucial role in the social structure of these communities, a reality that makes it advisable never to attempt to court a woman when visiting a Fijian town or village with ancestral traditions, just in case, because of the serious consequences and danger that this could pose. This reality has to do with the tribal past and Fijian customs, that within some villages, there were strict restrictions, especially when dealing with high-status women. In these villages, the wives, daughters, and favorites of tribal chiefs were considered untouchable, symbols of power and lineage, and any man who dared to court them or establish any kind of relationship with them faced severe consequences, sometimes punishable by death. This system not only protected the honor of the chiefs, but also underscored hierarchy and status in a society where each individual had a certain role and had to respect the rules in order to maintain the balance of the community. Today, although marriage restrictions are believed to no longer exist as such, it is good to know these ancient customs in order to pay attention. In some traditional villages, other surprising rules of respect persist, which visitors must observe with great care. For example, in certain villages, tourists are not allowed to wear sunglasses or hats, as these items are considered exclusive symbols of the tribal chiefs. Wearing them in front of the local authority may be interpreted as dishonoring or disrespectful, which could lead to unnecessary tension or conflict. These rules, while they may seem surprising, are living testimony to the deep respect that still endures for tribal leaders in Fijian culture. Another of the most controversial practices of the Fijian past has to do with the marital relations of men of high status. For centuries in traditional Fijian society, Tribal chiefs and leaders were allowed to live with several wives. Having numerous wives was not only a sign of wealth and power, but also a practical strategy to strengthen alliances between clans and ensure the stability of their communities. Each marriage represented a bond that helped maintain social cohesion, while consolidating the leader's position in the tribal hierarchy. With the arrival of Christian missionaries and British colonization in the 19th century, these traditions began to disappear. Christian influence promoted monogamy as the only acceptable form of relationship, which transformed the cultural dynamics of the villages. Polygamy was relegated to a memory of the past, seen as a symbol of another era. Despite this, in the more remote areas of Fiji, where modernity has barely touched the customs of its inhabitants, there are rumors of villages where these ancient marriage practices may still be present, albeit in a very discreet and unofficial manner. What adds an even more fascinating touch to this reality is the unique beauty of the people in Fiji and the realities hidden behind the thick jungle. In Fiji, the men and women of these islands have been molded by a privileged natural environment, the tropical climate, and an active life marked by sport, which is why they possess traits that reflect the strength and harmony of their land. The constant practice of rugby and other outdoor physical activities has forged sinewy, athletic bodies, while the sun, the sea, and life in nature have given Fijians a luminous, healthy appearance that is hard to forget. Women in particular are admired for their natural elegance, their faces sculpted by generations of tradition, and the strong, resilient character that characterizes island communities. Many of them still preserve ancestral customs such as the traditional Sulu dress, a sarong that highlights the simplicity and attractiveness of their forms. At the same time, Fijian men, known for their physical vigor and hospitable character, represent a perfect blend of strength and warmth, something that does not go unnoticed by visitors to these islands. In addition to the dazzling natural beauty of Fiji and its people, or the controversial cultural traditions, this paradise holds curious and unique facts that make it a fascinating country. Ancestral traditions continue to be an essential part of the country's cultural identity. An example of this is the ceremony of walking on hot stones, a practice with more than 500 years of history that originated on the island of Beka and is still alive today. This tradition, performed by the Sawau tribe, symbolizes faith, endurance, and spiritual connection with the ancestors. Although it was formerly part of religious rituals, today it can be witnessed in various hotels and resorts, where it is maintained as a cultural spectacle that amazes locals and visitors. Considering this connection with fire, it is interesting to learn about traditional Fijian cuisine and its characteristic method of food preparation, known as lovo wells. The lovo is an ancestral technique that uses subway pits filled with hot stones where food wrapped in banana or palm leaves is slowly cooked. This technique not only preserves the natural flavors of the ingredients, but also gives them a smoky and distinctive flavor, making each dish a true delight for the palate. Another of the most striking curiosities of this archipelago is its position on the international dateline, an imaginary division that separates the present from the past. On the island of Tavuni, known as the Garden Island, there is a point where you can literally stand with one foot in the current date and the other in the previous day, a unique experience that connects visitors with the magic of this corner of the Pacific. The combination of these realities creates a unique environment where the ancestral past still breathes in the remote villages and blends with the vibrant modern life in the cities. Among all the destinations in Fiji, there are two must-see places that encapsulate the beauty, history, and culture of this Pacific paradise. The first destination is Suva, Fiji's capital, and the archipelago's most vibrant city. Located on the main island of Viti Levu, Suva is the economic, political, and cultural center of the country. Walking through its streets, visitors will find a fascinating mix of British colonial architecture, bustling local markets, and modern shopping malls. One of the city's most iconic sites is the Museum of Fiji, with an impressive collection of historical artifacts that tell Fiji's ancient history, ranging from tools used during tribal wars to the famous shoe of missionary Thomas Baker. Suva also offers a gastronomic scene, and local markets, such as the Suva Municipal Market, are a must-stop to enjoy tropical fruits, spices, and handcrafted goods. The second most outstanding destination is the Yasawa Islands archipelago, a group of paradise islands located northwest of Viti Levu. This corner of Fiji is the epitome of tropical paradise, with white sand beaches, crystal clear waters, and a tranquility that is hard to find elsewhere in the world. The Yasawa Islands are known for being one of the best diving and snorkeling spots in the South Pacific. Its waters are home to vibrant coral reefs teeming with marine life, from colorful fish to majestic sea turtles and reef sharks gliding through the depths. One of the most visited spots is the Sawailau Cave, a mystical and magical place where you can swim in natural pools surrounded by limestone walls that look like they were sculpted by the gods. At this point, surely you would like to know how to get to Fiji and enjoy it in the best way, and whether or not there are realities for all budgets, so let's go with it. First of all, to get to Fiji, you should know that it is located in the South Pacific and is accessible through international flights landing at Nadi International Airport, the main gateway to the country. There are direct connections from Australia, New Zealand, the United States, and some Asian countries. In addition, for most tourists, no visa is required if the stay does not exceed 4 months. It will only be necessary to carry a valid passport and proof of departure from the country. In terms of safety, Fiji is a fairly safe destination for tourists. The local people are known for their warmth and hospitality, which makes visitors feel welcome. On the other hand, one of the best things about Fiji is that it offers options for all budgets. If you're traveling on a budget, you can find hostels where a bed in a shared room costs around $15 a night, making it an affordable destination for backpackers as well. At the opposite extreme, if you are looking for luxury and comfort, there are exclusive hotels and resorts where a night can easily exceed $1,000 with private villas, infinity pools, and services in front of paradisiacal beaches. The cost of food also varies quite a bit. A dinner for two in a local restaurant can cost around $30, while in a luxury restaurant, the same experience can exceed $200. Getting around the islands is easy and affordable. Local buses and ferries are inexpensive options that also allow you to enjoy the seascape. To save time, cabs and internal flights are also an option, although they have a higher cost as you saw at the beginning of the video. As you have seen, Fiji has a lot to offer for both budget travelers and those looking for a luxury experience. Its paradisiacal beaches, the hospitality of its people, and its multiple accommodation and transportation options ensure that everyone can enjoy this destination, tailored to their needs. From Uncensored World, we hope this video has helped you to discover and enjoy Fiji, one of the most fascinating and beautiful jewels on the planet. If so, do not hesitate to leave us a nice like and a comment. It is the best way to help us keep working to bring you every week interesting content like this. Videos like this one you can see below to enjoy the beauty and curiosities of one of the most fascinating places on the planet. Click on it, you will enjoy it.